If I say cracking the man code, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? All men are born into a code, or they're imprinted by
Hmm.
what's immediately around them. I had two parents, a loving, generous mother who was an athlete, father who was angry, selfish, and abusive. Three siblings, sister and two brothers. And fortunately, my mother had six brothers described as the everyday good guy.
Awesome.
That was my code that I was born into, right? And that's kind of how we present ourselves to family and the world early on as guys, as we learn to compete for favor, compete for food, compete at school, compete for girls.
Hmm.
That's the man code I was born into. That code does not serve us really well because we are also born into, or at least I was, sin nature. And I'm probably the only guy on this podcast who was born into sin nature. And sin nature early on in the tweens begins teaching guys isolation is part of being a guy. Complicating things is as we grow into our tweens and teens, we see other guys who may say that they're a church guy or a religion or a
Mm.
Christian guy. But then later on we realize, hey, that guy cheated on his taxes.
Right.
Hey, he would borrow something and not return it. That guy doesn't read the Bible, he doesn't pray, and he really doesn't understand the true nature or character of Jesus, let alone reflect it.
Right.
Now we're getting into the man code that you and I understand and impacts guys that we're around. So we have this average or casual guy, right? And he's casual about his faith, casual about his marriage or work, casual about God. The average guy in church is a lot like the average guy outside of church. And proof of that statistically is sexual addiction, masturbation, and porn. We're talking about guys here, but gals, if you're inside a church, guys and gals in church, including staffs, are a lot like men and women outside of church. And the casual relationship leads to casualties. And then culture or church or someone's got to fix that, right? We face up to this code, and that's a good thing because guys who face up to the code are often really good targets for transformation,
Hmm.
right? And to becoming the man of God that God created them to be. But the key to that transformation, it's a relationship with Jesus, getting close to him, staying connected with him. It's abiding, John 15. What is abide? Getting close to and staying connected with. When you get close to Jesus and stay connected to him, there's transformation to guys, to relationships at work, let alone marriages and families. And it becomes obvious, and it doesn't take long. And that's cracking the man code. You've probably heard this phrase, Jesus prefers availability over capability.
Yes.
I first heard that 15 years ago as we sit here. And you know what? It made immediate and perfect sense because I was available. I really wanted to grow my relationship very closely with Jesus. And I was around a couple of guys that were modeling and mentoring me, but I knew that I really lacked fancy
Mm.
Bible knowledge or lengthy flowery prayer. That was not me. But Jesus prefers availability over capability. And Jesus also does a lot with really common guys.
Right.
His original students were just common guys,
Yep.
some marginalized,
Yep.
Matthew, hated. And so he took marginalized guys, and he's still doing that today, and he has done that throughout time. He takes marginalized guys, everyday common guys, and he does really special things. Now, most guys will say, they kind of have that fear of, if I get close to you, Blake, or if I listen to this Phil guy,
Right.
this Jesus guy is going to want to take me to the ends of the earth. You know, I'm going to head to one of the polar regions or some desolate place, and I'm going to have to go there and serve. No, actually, if you're a tool guy, he's probably going to take you back into a bunch of other tool guys.
Yes.
If you're into weightlifting, he's probably going to take you back into the gym, probably talk to those guys. And
Mm.
that's cracking the man code.